This is the Amy Edwards Show, and we are here to uplevel our lives in every way at every age. Let's go.
Even if you're not part of a collectivistic culture, because there are people who are going to be telling you to act a certain way, or even the groups that you belong to, the political affiliations that you're in, they're going to tell you to see things a certain way, do things a certain way, behave a certain way. And you have to be able to know who you are and what you stand for if you're going to resist those voices. You got to be able to use your own mind, your own critical faculties to evaluate the messages that are being sent to you. And that only comes from self-exploration, knowing what those values are, what those core values are, and being able to sift through all the choices that you have and figure out, okay, what's really important to me.
Hello, and welcome to the show. I'm so excited today because we're going to get into our nomadic soul. I just like that whole concept and those words. So today we are jumping in with Seline Shenoy. Seline is an author, a blogger, and a podcast host whose work focuses on personal development, self-esteem, and living authentically. She's the founder of The Dreamcatcher. It's a community that's reached over 5 million readers. That's so amazing. And 400,000 podcast listeners worldwide. She's based in Dubai, too, which is so cool. Seline is the author of 2 books, The Nomadic Soul and Beauty Redefined, and hosts the Dreamcatcher podcast. And her mission is to help people live up to their truest expression by building a strong inner foundation of self-worth and designing a life aligned with their personal vision. And Seline, I'm so happy that you're here, and I want to jump right in with what is the nomadic soul, and how do you know when yours has been, buried or domesticated or something like that? So let's start there.
Amy, first of all, I just want to say how grateful I am to be on your show. Thank you for having me. And that was a wonderful introduction. I really, really appreciate it.
Yay.
The nomadic soul. Okay, so I describe the nomadic soul as an ethereal aspect of our identity that dwells within us all. It is a part of us that wants to go deeper in life and wants to really examine, the bigger aspects of life and not just be caught up in the mundane, everyday, surface level things that we experience. We ask the big questions. Why am I here? What is my purpose? All of those things emanate from the nomadic soul. So I like to think of it as the part of us that has that very exploratory kind of state of mind that wants to know more, and also that encourages us to evolve as a human being and just be more in every sense of the word. And that wants us to discover new landscapes, both outside us and within us, more importantly. And that's the whole premise of the nomadic soul. And I was inspired by 6 inspirational figures that I write about in the book, their stories, because I think that they demonstrate what it really means to be a nomadic soul and how to live in alignment with the values and the tenets that I lay out in the book. So yeah, this has been something that I've been working on for a few years now. And I've been inspired by a lot of things in life, like my travels, the books that I read. And I feel like I have a nomadic soul myself. And because of that, it was able to speak through me and find a place in the world in the form of this book. So I'm really happy that I was able to express it and, be able to reach all the people who are interested in this type of content.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting about the wording nomadic soul. I think since the pandemic especially, there are people that adopt a nomadic lifestyle, but it's still wherever you go, there you are, right? And so I think it's kind of cool that you take it to the soul level, and it's cool to explore from a soul space, but you're still home with yourself. I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at.
That's right.
Yeah. Does that resonate? I mean, I think that, I guess I'm asking, like, what if someone isn't traveling? They can still embrace this nomadic soul principle.
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, in this day and age, God knows, like you can travel anywhere you want. Like you can, you go on YouTube and you want to see what it's like walking down the streets in Chile, you can do that. Um, if you want to explore new worlds, just pick up a great fiction book. Like see the world through the lens of another person, whether it's
Truly.
a contemporary or someone who lived like 1,000 years ago. There's so many ways to be nomadic within your own, even if you stay at home. And this was proven during the pandemic when people were literally um, stuck, stuck in their, stuck in their homes and they had nowhere to go. So they had to find a way to be nomadic within their own spaces, and it certainly can be done.
Oh, I can hop on my Peloton and ride through the streets of Ireland or something, or Croatia, It's wild.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
this.
Well, you use some ancient desert nomads as a metaphor, correct? And you
I
talked
did.
about the six people. So, what did they understand about freedom and self that we have forgotten?
Well, I use the whole metaphor of life as a journey to really illustrate the idea that, um, you know, embarking on these adventures can give us permission to let go of the labels and both the self-imposed limitation and the social limitations that we grew up with, and somehow going on these adventures like the nomads, as perilous as they might seem, can give us that space and give us permission to really just break out of the mold. And the the whole idea of life as a journey is something that we see consistently in all kinds of books, all kinds of stories. We see it in books like Eat, Pray, Love, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, and Siddhartha, and even religious stories like Moses and the Buddha, Confucius. They all speak about this idea of traveling and going outside the bounds that we're familiar with, because whole that whole physical movement, it kind of changes the whole structure of our being and kind of makes us alchemize the knowledge that we already have within us into something that could be utilized for our growth and for the growth of the people around us. So why I chose a nomad specifically, it's because I grew up in the Gulf, where there are massive deserts out here. So it felt like an obvious choice to talk about the nomads and use it as a metaphor to illustrate what it means to be a nomad.
Truly. And it's just, I keep coming back to, like, you are your own home when you think of it that way, right? Like, you're not going home. You're creating a home everywhere you go, which is a core thing about,
Yeah.
self-love. And
Yeah.
and there's so much letting go of identity all the time when you're doing that, because we anchor to homes like, oh, I'm from Texas, or, I'm from
That's right.
X. And so I just find that so incredibly powerful. Plus, what you were talking about with travel, too, it dispels a lot of fear. Do you want to talk a little bit about maybe some things that came up for you that you had to break through and to dispel, the fear of letting go?
Yeah, I just want to touch on a point that you just made about home, finding home within ourselves. It took me a long time to figure that one out because I was so restless since I was a teenager, and I was trying to find a sense of identity, a sense of self since that time, as most people do. But for me, it was particularly challenging because I I lived in a country that's, not mine. My roots are in another country. My dad was an expat. So I had to find a sense of identity in the country that I grew up in and in the school that I was in. I went to an international school. So for me, I felt so displaced for so many years, and I thought home was a certain city I need to go to, or a certain social group that I need to find. And over time, I realized it's not a location. It is something that I have to create within myself, and that comes from knowing who you are, knowing what your values are, what you stand for, what you're willing to fight for, and really being comfortable with who you are. And I think that only comes with maturity and going through experiences. Now that I'm in my early 40s, I think I've reached there, and it feels so wonderful to have that sense of rootedness and groundedness just within you. And I really wish it for everybody.
Oh, me too. And can I just real quickly say, I can't believe you're in your early 40s. You look amazing.
Thank
I
you.
mean, gorgeous. But, also you have a youthful spirit. Even though there's that maturity there, it shows when you have that youthful spirit of newness and adventure and learning and growth. I mean, I'm a big proponent of saying that is where that youthfulness comes from and that glow. So yeah, really beautiful what you said. I'm so glad you mentioned the word restless too. I think that that's such a good word and something that so many people can identify with
Yeah.
and
Especially in this day
nothing.
and age of
Oh my
FOMO and
gosh, it's constant. Yeah,
algorithmic driven desires, and it just amplifies that
it
feeling.
does.
Yeah,
And they're playing to that, right?
they
To our
are.
own restlessness. And my husband is very involved in recovery and AA, and one of their tenets is like restless, irritable, and discontent. And I love that they say that, like when you're feeling that, and it's really about that whole AA thing is letting go and
I really
being
like
at
that.
peace. I do too. It's about being at peace in yourself.
Mm.
And so much of what you say is that, right? Like if we can recognize that restlessness, nothing's going to satisfy it,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that involves doing deep inner work. I'll tell you right now, I'm doing some deep inner work. I'm still working on myself,
What are you
dealing with
doing right now?
inner child issues, dealing with any lingering pain that you have not taken a look at. I mean, all of that needs to be addressed in order to create that safe space within you.
Hmm.
And yeah, it can involve looking at the darker sides of life, and a lot of people are not willing to do that, but it is absolutely necessary because that will crop up in some form or another if it's not addressed properly.
Agreed. And I think it's a practice. Like for me, it's never like something I can go, oh, finally it's done,
Yeah. No, 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 no.
And I
There's no
think
end
like,
destination. We're all
right. And accepting that things are going to still come up
absolutely,
is a good thing. And so I just want to like
absolutely.
address that.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, I'm wondering what you had to deprogram in yourself, and then how that can help people distinguish in their own lives some things that have been programmed within them versus authentic desires
yeah. Mm,
or authenticity.
yeah, that's a good question. I would say tying my self-worth to my appearance.
Oh,
And
wow.
that is what inspired me to write the book Beauty Redefined, because I grew up as a chubby kid, and I was bullied. And even like the male figures in my family made me acutely aware of my weight and
Ugh.
how I'm falling short because I'm big. I'm bigger than other kids. So I always felt like I was not good enough because I was not high on that yardstick. Um, and it's been something that I've had to unpack well into my young adulthood. So I've had to realize that my self-worth is not tied to my appearances, and it has everything to do with my character and what I can do to make the world a better place. And that really came from investing myself in creative works and being able to express myself and what I believe in a way that would benefit other people versus just, me trying to find a platform and just praise myself. No, that's never what I wanted to do. So I think, yeah, the belief that I'm worthy because of the way I look.
Yeah.
That took a long time for me.
It's agreed. It's external standards that are imposed upon us in so many ways. I know
Yeah.
that for me, I had to redefine failure and
Okay.
success and not have those be external markers that I ultimately don't have control over, right? And so I think that a lot of people can probably relate with what do I need to redefine that I'm doing because I'm told, like, or I didn't decide this, right? We have a
Yeah.
lot of power. I guess that's the point. We have a lot of power.
Yeah.
And once,
You can't choose where you
no,
grew up in the society, the family you grew up in. You're just going to be conditioned based on the air you breathe. And you don't have that self-awareness when you're younger. So you got to deprogram yourself the minute you realize that something is off.
yeah.
And
When
I
did you
think that's the
realize
case for everybody.
what happened for you? Did you have like a turning point moment or?
Yeah. I had a pretty bad breakup in my 20s. And I realized the values that I was living by was not working for me, and I was just not living in accordance with who I really am. I was just trying to fit into a mold, and I always felt internally that I'm not in integrity. I'm not in integrity, even though it was fun what I was doing. I was in the whole social circuit out here in Dubai, and everyone was having a good time in my 20s. But then something in me said, this does not feel right. This does not feel right. I should be doing more with my life. This is not who you're meant to be. So
But you listened to that voice. You didn't
I
push it
did.
away, and
Yeah.
like it's easy for us to push away a lot of times. And what practices did you use in particular or still use to amplify that inner voice?
Writing. Writing is a big one for me. Journaling. Talk therapy, speaking to a therapist, because she's able to give me some structure, some insight into things I may not be able to see.
Yeah.
And just consuming art, music, things like that, because that really inspires me and takes me to a different level of consciousness, which is needed sometimes
Yeah.
to add
Yeah.
some levity, to add some um, humor, whatever it is that's needed to get a different perspective on what's going on in your life.
Yeah. How did travel feed that for you too?
Mm, travel is huge, and I'm so grateful that my parents took me on their travels when I was younger, because that really changed me as a person. I First of all, I realized that there are all kinds of people on this planet who live in different kinds of ways, different belief systems, different customs, different practices. And that made me a lot more tolerant of differences in other people. Made me like people a lot more. I'm fascinated. I'm so curious. And like I'm a podcast host. And why? Because we want to know more about people. We are curious about them. We want to have those conversations. So that all came from traveling and interacting with people from all kinds of backgrounds. And it just somehow it jumpstarts your creativity for some reason. Just being exposed to different environments, going to all kinds of places. I've been to developed places that were fancy. I've been to developing nations that were not so fancy. All of that, yeah, exposure uh, inspired me in so many ways.
Did you ever feel any fear when you were traveling, and how did you overcome that if you did?
Mm, let me think. Was there any fear? Not really. I think I'm more fearful was when I grew up. Because as a kid, you're more open and you see everything through the lens of wonder. And I had my folks around me all the time, so I felt like I was protected.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it was instilled in you as a value from a young age.
Absolutely. And my dad used to watch documentaries and
Mhm.
stuff like that on TV, and it was just playing in the background. So that
That's
learner mindset has been instilled in me since I was young.
That's really awesome because I guess I feel like I encounter people around here and in the States, and we're fed a lot of fear here. Everywhere, really, of course,
Yeah.
in a lot of places, and we're fed a lot of fear. In fact, like today, somebody emailed me, and I was like, "Oh, I'm helping my husband get ready for Uganda," and he was like, "We just canceled our trip, um, tell him to be careful." And all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh my God, he's like a pro traveler, like, I'm not
Yeah.
even worried about him."
Yeah.
I mean, I'm worried about him getting malaria, but whatever. And
I hope he got his shots. I'm sure he has.
oh, he's had it like 4 times. Anyway,
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
But like there's a lot of fear instilled in us. And so I think what you said about it jumpstarting your creativity and having that real shift of your mind around travel is really important, and something I just wanted to highlight a little bit about looking at the true good things that it brings to your life and to feed your soul, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I love that point that you made because when you travel, when you expose it, and you don't even have to travel to different parts of the world, even like within your own country or just go to a different part of your town, whatever it is, it's just seeing life through the lens of exploration and curiosity,
Yeah.
having the mindset of a scientist versus someone who's seeing the world through a fear-based lens
Hmm.
and is completely closed off. My way or the highway, and our way is the right way to do things. No, that's not the case at all. Please, it's not. There are so many ways to look at something, so many ways to approach life. Um, if it's subjective, if it's a subjective thing that you're looking at, you can bet there are different ways of seeing it and different ways of doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Do you notice like a lot of different, acceptable identities that people, I bet you do, especially talking about your 20s. And also nothing like a breakup, right? To really make you question everything.
Really.
Breakups.
Especially for an empath who really feels things
Yeah.
deeply.
To
Yeah,
do you question yourself in every way,
absolutely.
rejected. It's really good for you in the long run, but man, it is challenging. And I guess I'm kind of asking about, when we're subscribing to acceptable identities, or what we deem acceptable and trying to fit in, and how we break those down to really discover our own nomadic soul and true identity. What are some of the first steps that you recommend to people when they are craving this?
Yeah, so I think identity is something we don't inherit. It's something that we actively co create, something that is in our hands. So identity should not be based on labels, but on the things that we do, our habits, our choices. All of that informs our identity. Who are you becoming every day based on how you're spending your time? Because that is your identity. For example, if someone says, I'm a runner, well, you should be running at least a couple of times a week. So I like the idea of building an identity based on your habits. And of course, deciding what your values are and what's important to you and living in accordance with that. And also what you're telling yourself about who you are and how you use your energy on a daily basis. Because the narrative that you have in your head, the inner dialogue, really determines how you see yourself. And that should be closely monitored. Because no matter what other people tell you about who you are, you're not going to believe it. You're not always going to believe it unless you are convinced about it.
Big time.
So, looking at your values, looking at your behavior, your habits, and how you speak to yourself, all of that, I believe, are the main components of really developing an identity rather than just saying, hey, this is who I am based on something that you grew up hearing. No, you got to be active in constructing your identity. It's all on you.
I think that's such a powerful shift too. Like, give me an example if like you were going to a party. And somebody says, what do you do? Right? Like,
Yeah.
or something, then you're like, I'm Amy and I'm a podcast host and I do radio work or whatever. And like, it's taking that away and then just like, give me an example of something that someone could shift and say if they were asked, what do you do? Right? Rather than like, I'm a computer programmer or whatever. What would you want to hear at a party?
Well, I'm trying to think about the social customs, right? Because normally people would expect you to provide all those labels that they're familiar with.
Right.
Um,
It's so
I
much
would probably
cooler.
add a line about why I'm doing it, why I decided, like, for instance, if you're a doctor, why you're a doctor, like, what kind of joy does it bring you? Or just a little bit of extra information and just look at how the person responds. If they show that they are interested and they want to know more, then you can probably share a bit more. Some people just do it because of obligation, right? Or it's just like an icebreaker, but they don't really want to know more. So it's like, I think you gotta like just suss them out before providing more information.
It's kind of fun to play with though, and it's like just it just surprises people too, I think, and invites more conversation and depth.
It does.
Yeah.
I would actually ask the other person. I would invite the other person to speak first.
How would you ask that then? Like, I wonder. If there's a better question than like, what do you do? You could say like,
so I would probe more and be like, oh, so why do you do that? Or what got you interested in that? So that gets them to open up. And then perhaps they would do the same. They would ask me the same type of questions if they're inclined to. Of course, I'm not expecting it. So, yeah.
It's kind of fun too as an exercise for someone who wants to go deeper on their identity to be like, oh, let me just play with that and see what I could say. Because I know my husband, he created his own little mission statement. So, he just says, I put love and compassion in action. And I'm like, that's cool. And then people can say how, or whatever. And he's like, oh, I started on your
idea. That's a good idea. Like a short elevator pitch.
Yeah. And like, I might say something like, I use my voice to elevate other voices or something like that and get in touch with that. And I don't know, it's just kind of a fun way to play with going deeper on your own identity.
I love that. But again, I would tailor what I'm saying based on who I'm speaking with, right? It's like, I need to know my audience first.
There is a read the room element to
Exactly.
But then I don't know. Sometimes I think it makes people think in ways that I don't know. Maybe the older I get, the less I care. So you mentioned self-talk. Tell me about your own self-talk practices because it's so foundational to me. I mean, I've had to basically brainwash myself with my deepest truths, even when I didn't believe them. Tell me how that's looked for you and what you recommend to people.
So a long time ago, I worked with a coach, and she helped me identify the voices by kind of giving them a form, like an archetype. For instance, if I have like a really harsh voice in me that tends to criticize me every time I mess up, I give it a name, like maybe a teacher from high school who I didn't quite like, or Mrs. Julia. Okay, I'm just using a random name. So every time I hear that critical voice, I'm like, oh, there's Mrs. Julia again. Like, there she is. So kind of naming it helps you identify it better. And then it's like, okay, how can I transform Mrs. Julia into something else? Perhaps a coach or someone who's lovingly instructive, like who's able to point out, where my areas of improvement in a way that would be constructive and that would be self-preserving. So I would create a different persona, maybe a teacher who was that way, Mr. John, right? Mr. John Smith. So I would find a way to replace Mrs. Julia with Mr. John Smith so that I'm able to create an inner dialogue that is more loving, more supportive, and that could help me be the best version of myself. So I found that to be very helpful, because otherwise it's just like a cacophony of voices in your head, and you have to find a way to dismantle all of it and to distinguish all of them by giving them some kind of form and
And that takes it
telling them
out of
apart.
just being you. Like,
Right.
oh,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. And it's
all
fun
me.
too. It's like, have you seen the movie Inside Out? It's like all those characters inside. There's anger, there's sadness. So it's kind of similar to that.
It does. I mean, it gives you enough like backing up perspective too to
That's right.
like not identify with every single voice or emotion or thought that you're having. Right.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Just knowing that on an intellectual, like, don't believe everything you think, question it. And
Mm-hmm.
having someone to talk to about it also helps. There are a lot of tools that you can use to
Yeah.
really monitor your inner narrative and to reframe it in a way that would be much more healthier and self-preserving.
Do you have any other favorite tools?
Like I said, talk therapy, talking to people about it, talking to my therapist about it, and journaling. Those are my go-to practices.
Did you ever have a point journaling? I know I did when I was like totally over everything I was writing. I was like, I'm so sick of feeling the same way that
Yeah.
it shifted me in general.
Yeah. You can experience burnout. And what I realize is that I don't have to write every day. Like, I just
Mm-hmm.
want to write when I feel like it, when I feel like I have something in me that's percolating. I really want to like get it out. So that's when I journal. So I don't adhere to a certain schedule of journaling and all that, because that can make you feel, oh, I don't have anything to write today. And that can, kind of make you feel bad in a way. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, speaking of your writing, let's shift into the concept of a dream catcher and how that speaks to you and the meaning that it has in all your work.
hmm Yeah, so the dream catcher, I've always loved Native American traditions. I love the artifacts that they use, and of course, the dream catcher was something that always caught my eye whenever I used to go to a souvenir shop in like Alaska or any place where there's a lot of Native influence. So, and I thought it was the perfect metaphor for describing ways to literally catch our dreams, the dream catcher. Like, it's a way to hold on to the things that we consider really dear to our heart. And at the same time, it has a lot of spiritual and soulful connotations. It speaks that more ethereal uh, element, that more esoteric element that I wanted to incorporate into my work. So I wanted to make sure that I'm capturing um, both the motivational, the personal development aspect, and also the spiritual aspect. I didn't want to go either or, and I thought that would be a perfect object, a perfect symbol to use to represent the work that I do.
Do you collect dream catchers? Do you have a whole bunch of them?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
You do? Yeah, very cool, very cool. Yeah, it really is beautiful and a powerful way to have
Mhm.
something concrete that reminds you like what you're
Absolutely.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. I'm curious, you have an overarching theme of choosing yourself and your own soul. How have you navigated any guilt that comes up around that with familial or societal expectations? And what do you recommend people do around that?
Mm. This is such a good question. It's because it's been an ongoing theme in my life because I come from a collectivistic culture where, oh my gosh, guilt is served hot here.
What does that mean? What does that mean, collectivistic?
So, a collectivistic culture is one where the family plays a very prominent role in your life. Like, they can influence who you are as a person, your values, your decisions. A lot centers around, the family,
collective.
the group,
Yeah.
the community,
Okay.
as opposed to an individualistic culture, which is like the United States, the UK, a lot of European countries, where it's like it's full focuses on the self. You create your reality and you make decisions based on what you think is right. Um, and of course, this is a spectrum, right? It's not. You can fall anywhere on that spectrum. So being part of a collectivistic culture means like everyone's in your business, right? Everyone's in your business, and it's like, we think you should be doing this, you should be doing that. It's just like, and I've always been individualistic in my heart, and I've always been butting heads with particularly my dad, who's a traditional man. So it's, um, and fortunately, I found mentors in the form of books, in the form of personal growth workshops since I was in my late teens. So I always worked on honing my inner voice and my intuition and learning to trust my own judgment so that I don't have to question myself every time people say, "Are you sure about that? That doesn't seem right," So I think that's very, very important for anybody, like even if you're not part of a collectivistic culture, because there are people who are going to be telling you to act a certain way, or even the groups that you belong to, the political affiliations that you're in, they're going to tell you to see things a certain way, do things a certain way, behave a certain way. And you have to be able to know who you are and what you stand for. If you're going to resist those voices, you got to be able to use your own mind, your own critical faculties to evaluate the messages that are being sent to you. And that only comes from self-exploration, knowing what those values are, what those core values are, and being able to sift through, all the choices that you have and figure out, okay, what's really important to me. Like, we hear this all the time, but this is so important, because if you don't stand for anything, people are just going to walk all over you, and they're just going to, transfer their own beliefs to you. And then before you know it, you're like, wait, this is not what I signed up for. This is not who I am. I don't feel like, you feel fragmented, right? Especially in this age of social media where you're exposed to all kinds of things and you're unconsciously taking in so many things, like so many messages, and you have to be able to build a buffer, a way to protect yourself from that. And that comes from having a strong identity and knowing what you're willing to take in and what you're not. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's really powerful, really well said. And I mean, I love Brene Brown's values list. And just what did you use to really get in touch with those values? Because it just really is something that you can constantly refer to and get stronger in all the time, right?
Yeah.
And then you're coming from love, or you value communication, or whatever it is, and you're able to deal with that person in your life, whether it's your family member or whoever that's imposing their own values on you and telling you it's all the shoulds, right?
The shoulds.
Escaping the shoulds and
That's
getting
not
back
how
to
things
you.
are done.
Right.
Yeah. I heard
Wow,
that a lot.
I bet you
I was
did.
like, really? Says who? Like
Mhm.
dead relatives from like 50, 100 years ago? I don't know. Like,
Or longer.
longer.
Yeah. I mean, it just is like such a realization to get to that. What did you do to really hone in on your own values? And what are they? I'm curious.
Well, let's start with how I was able to discover my values or whittle them down. So
Yeah.
I'm a certified coach. So one of the cornerstones of coaching is helping your clients figure out their values. So we did a ton of exercises in our training program, and so it was very clear to me what's important to me. And as far as my values are concerned, definitely number one's freedom. Freedom is important to me in every sense of the word. Freedom of the way I think, freedom to do whatever I want, so freedom, learning, exploration. I think it should be pretty obvious by now.
It
And
is.
I
Totally.
would say health is definitely up there. Health, feeling good in my body,
That's
because
a good one that we forget a lot until
yeah,
it's not there.
and
And then
I
you're like,
practice it.
holy shit, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So health is up there, and loyalty is very important to me. Loyalty, um, and yeah, those are the top ones.
Yeah. What do you do to remind yourself of those all the time? I mean, like, are they, I'm sure they're ingrained in you now.
Definitely, yeah, they are ingrained in me, and
But yeah, before they were, like, did you have Post-it notes or did you have something that was a constant reminder?
um, no, not really. I mean, it's something that I intuitively knew, and
Hmm.
I mean, for listeners and viewers, I think they can find out their values. There are tons of exercises nowadays. So, like all the tools are free online. So just type in core value exercises, and there's so many things like looking at your peak experiences. What were you experiencing there? That's one of them, and there are so many great ways to find out. Um, and if you need reminders, then yeah, post-it notes are great to begin with.
I do.
Yeah,
That's what
I
I've
mean,
used them nonstop,
yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, no, they're that's helpful. But over time, they do get ingrained in you, and it's just like automatic, and
Hmm.
it can guide all your decisions, all the choices that you make. And I think it's really important, especially considering how much is coming at us these days, and is only going to get like more and more. We're going to be inundated with choices and with information. So just brace yourself.
Yeah, it's been interesting for me just even thinking of those in this day and age with all the things that are possibilities to do. Because, like, I was, gonna start an Amazon store. I've talked about this on the show before, but I was gonna, like, do an Amazon store and stuff, and so I was like, and I order from Amazon, so I was like, "Oh, I'll, start a store," but then I was like, "Okay, does that really align with my values?" And once I realized, like, no, nothing about Amazon aligns with my values.
Yes.
More screen time doesn't align with my values. I mean, like, once I got to the core of what I would actually be doing, I was like, none of that does. And even if it's becoming a creator, an influencer, whatever, like, there's a lot of fundamental questions to ask about when you think you want to do something versus what you really want to do and what's
Yeah.
really
So
involved in that.
where did that idea come from if it wasn't from your values? Where did it come
I know, right? It was, I think it might have been a should, honestly, Celine, it was
Ah.
like, "Oh, I should do this because a lot of people are. I can make money doing it. I use things from Amazon," which I do, "and I could share them and, share with people." But once I really looked at it, I thought, "I don't wanna give Jeff Bezos any more money." Like, I was just like, "This
We're gonna send
doesn't."
more people to the moon. It's more women to the moon.
Yeah, yeah, that's absurd.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And, and so I think that I had an inner conflict because I do like the convenience of Amazon.
Like
Don't
a
get me wrong. Like I
dissonance.
do like
Yeah.
some things, like there's some cognitive dissonance, I
Yeah.
believe there. So, but ultimately I was like, that's not where I want to spend my time. And I don't want to encourage others to, or even show my daughters that. So
Yeah.
once I took a moment to really ask myself about that, I deleted the whole thing. And I was like,
Mm.
that feels good, So
Yeah. And
it's just,
that's a sign. When you deleted it, there was like a sense of relief. There was like an inner yes.
yeah. Well, there was a tiny bit of like, oh, well, I mean, I'm really doing this, but I was also like this, the nomadic soul in me was like, that doesn't align with your values. So quit doing what you think you should be doing. Sure.
Yeah. Well
Right? Like,
done.
yeah. It's just interesting to explore because what we think we're gonna do
Mhm.
versus what we really wanna do is always a good space. Have you had anything come up like that for yourself where you're like, because I know you're online quite a bit, so have you been led down a
Really?
path possibly? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, have you been led down a path possibly where you were like, "Huh, this isn't right for me at all?" So you're gonna be like,
Let me
"No,
think about that. Mm,
Yeah. I mean, just
yeah,
sometimes,
I like to share this story. Like early on, I I wasn't really sure about how I wanted to present myself to the world as a content creator. So I took my cues from Marie Forleo. everyone knows Marie Forleo. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to be like Marie Forleo. I'm going to post all these cool videos. I'm going to be all like, you know, totally out there and enthusiastic and whatever it is that, you know, she's very vivacious, right? And that's her personal brand. And then so I did a couple of videos like that, and I watched them back, and I was like, "But this is not me. That's not who I am, because that's not who I am at my core. What am I doing? And this is not the kind of content that I feel represents, you know, my creative voice." So I scrapped it, removed the videos, and I was like, I went back to the drawing board, worked with my coach, worked with a personal branding person, and just like, hey, just help me excavate like all this inspiration I have within me. So how can I package it in a way that is understandable, it is cohesive. And so I went for that whole process. And then I felt like what came out was a lot more authentic. It was authentic and it felt right. And people really received it because they could feel that authenticity. They know, like nowadays, people are so much more discerning. Like they know, they can tell when someone's faking it, when someone's just trying to be something they're not, or just trying to copy somebody else. They can sense it. People are very savvy nowadays. So this it's really important to get that. Like if you're someone who is a content creator or you're a business owner putting content out there, make sure it's a reflection of who you are and your brand, because it will be much more resonant and people would receive it better if it's coming from a very true place within you.
That's such a good distinction. I think a couple things. You kind of had to do that to know, right? And
Yeah.
like, so sometimes
It
we
was so
have to do that to
stupid.
know.
I'm so glad I took those videos out. It's like,
I
okay.
mean, but it happens, right? And we think, oh, this works. Let me just do that, right? And
Yeah.
it's so nice sometimes to think, oh, I'll just follow that path. But really, it's going to be an inauthentic path because it's not
Yeah.
yours.
And
And
I was in my mid-20s, so still like
yeah, sure.
mid to late 20s around that time. Yeah,
Yeah.
and at that time, I was still on the path of discovery and uh, building my confidence and understanding what I'm really all about.
Yeah, but I mean, it kind of is like me with the Amazon thing. Like I see these Amazon influencers and they have, hundreds of thousands of followers and all this, and I'm like, oh,
I don't
this
know how
looks
they do that.
great.
I'm still,
Uh,
my baffles
it's
me.
so much is probably fake. It's a bunch of bots probably. So everything on social media seems like bots now. But that's another story. So, but
Indeed,
I
it is.
think that, it's just easy to see somebody that is doing something so that you like. And then you're like, oh, well, I should do that too. But there's that
Yeah.
word should. And so it's
Yeah, I
a
remember
little,
Oprah saying she didn't want to be the next. She was trying to be Barbara Walters, but then she
ah,
realized I can't be Barbara Walters. I have to be Oprah. And
and I mean, she's Oprah,
she
right?
is
Great
Oprah, but she had
example.
to find her
Yes,
voice
she did.
literally, you know?
She
Yeah.
did. She
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
did. And
Yeah.
she did the work to show up.
Hmm.
But that's a great example. She forged her own path.
She
And
did.
as scary as that can be, that's good for your traveling metaphor too, right? We got to venture into the unknown because we're the only ones that can carve our path, right?
Absolutely.
And it is both irritating on the fact that, oh my gosh, why can't it be done for me and be easier? But it's also freeing on that you can do whatever it is that is your path,
Hmm.
So
And you got to
it's,
believe in yourself, though. And that
yeah,
comes from that sense of belief that, hey, I got this. And also having a willingness to venture out into the unknown. And unknown is scary. It's scary.
yeah,
You don't know what's out there. And a lot of people want to have some degree of control. They want to know what's going to happen. That idea of taking a risk and not knowing what's next can be so intimidating for a lot of people. But, I've found in all the success stories, people who have made it big, they had a high tolerance for the unknown
mm,
and for taking calculated risks. And that, I mean, it's absolutely essential. You can't grow, you can't um, broaden your horizons if you don't have that. ability to find some sense of okayness with the unknown.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
What do you recommend to people to get more comfortable with that unknown if they are very uncomfortable with it? Which ultimately we could point out too that all of life is unknown, even when you think you know. You know,
Yes.
your
Yeah.
company could fire you tomorrow,
Yeah.
or the
Absolutely.
market
But
could crash, whatever.
yeah, you're right. I would say take tiny steps. Um, it's all about iteration, right? Take tiny steps, move one foot forward, and see like how the world responds to you. I mean, it really depends. I need an example too. Can you give me an example so I can illustrate this?
An example of what exactly? Like,
Of heading into the unknown and being comfortable with it.
well, I guess if you quit your job and you don't know what's next or something like that because you
Yeah.
feel like it's not aligning with your values.
Yeah. So firstly, I would say don't quit your job cold turkey, especially if you have bills to pay and you've got people depending on you.
Let's say you don't. Let's say you don't. Let's say you don't have kids and you are
Hmm.
able to quit your job and you've got some money in the bank.
You got some money in the bank. Okay. So I would say well, it would depend. Are they looking for other jobs or they're looking to start a new business? What's going on there?
Looking for change. Looking for change. Looking for truth to their soul, something that calls to them.
Hmm. But it can go in so many different directions. It really depends on the type of person. I mean, you could be like an Elizabeth Gilbert type and do an eat, pray, love kind of journey.
Sure.
If you just want to do like just spend some time on your own and do some self exploration, that could be an option. Taking some time off.
Yeah. But I mean, like when it's a wide open space, sometimes it can feel overwhelming. And so, what would you recommend someone do in that situation to maybe ground them or anchor them? Or what have you done to, I guess it's coming back maybe to what we talked about at the very beginning, right? Like doing that work to make this home.
Yeah, and developing some kind of structure in your life. For me, it may not be the case for everybody, but I like having a schedule, having some structure, having some things that I do. Some rituals.
What are your
'Cause,
rituals? I'm curious too. Can you share any of those, your daily non-negotiables?
daily non-negotiables. I go to the gym. I have to go to the gym because
Nice one.
that's part of my morning routine because it grounds me. I'm very cerebral. I'm in my head a lot. So when I'm in the gym, I have that that opportunity to like just disconnect and just be in my body.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I do breathing exercises because I'm someone who tends to hold my breath when I'm stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
So breathing is something that I have to really be conscious of.
Oh, I love that
And
one. Yes. It gets you
yeah,
really present in the moment
very
too. So,
present in the
yeah.
moment and making sure I spend time with my loved ones because I can be a bit of a hermit as a content creator that comes with it in the
Mm-hmm.
territory. So now I made a conscious, okay, I got to spend some time with my mom, with my dog, with my partner. I've got to make time. Like I've got to make time
Mm-hmm.
for my relationships. Because if I had it my way, I'd just be stuck in a room just working all day, and that's not healthy. So I was like, okay, balance, 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 balance. So yeah, so it's about being very conscious about how I spend my time. And again, that goes back to aligning it with your values and your goals. What are the things? Uh, and
Yeah, you had health.
what
I
is the
mean, you
kind
had
of health?
health
Sorry.
as a high, you had health as a high one, right? And so like going to the gym is really crucial for you.
Oh,
Like, very
absolutely,
aligned. Yeah, that's really cool.
absolutely. Because that puts me in a different frame of mind. It teaches me so many things. It teaches me resilience because going to the gym it's sometimes really hard. Like doing those weights and it,
Just
it
getting there.
just
Just
getting there. It's like
getting your
you learn
body there.
you learn to put up with
Hmm.
pain. You learn to put up with discomfort. And when you feel that in your body, when you're feeling that um in your cells and in your bones, it can be much easier to kind of do that in in everyday life and kind of translate that to other areas of your life. So yeah, I think going to the gym teaches you so many things. I feel exercising, a growth mindset, and of course the physiological benefits, all the feel good hormones, all of that, um, puts you in the right frame of mind, puts you in the right space to handle the ups and downs that will inevitably be in your day.
Yeah. Yeah. And back to what you were saying too, you were talking about having those rituals and how important that is. And so really beautiful to feel like a grounding mechanism when
Yeah.
you are feeling overwhelmed. So I love that.
Yeah.
So if somebody was like, okay, I want to reconnect with my nomadic soul right now, what is one question that you would tell them to ask themselves in this moment?
Where am I feeling limited in my life?
Mm, good one. I like that. Do you still explore that question? Do you think that you have limitations of your own come up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I would say, w- which which area of your life are you experiencing it, and what what is what are the obstacles? What is holding you within that limited space? So
Hmm.
just gaining an awareness of what kind of shackles are around you, and how, and then you can look into, okay, how can I break free? That is the obvious next step.
Hmm. And so many times it's things like we talked about, things that other people have decided for us or we've allowed to be
Yeah.
decided for us.
Yeah,
Right.
because if you're living on autopilot and you are not paying attention to what's happening on a daily basis, I mean, we get so busy that we don't take that time to do that inner reflection.
Hmm.
It's and we can just go kind of get go off on a different path that is not in integrity with who we are.
Especially if you've got bills to pay and,
Yeah,
all
and
these
I don't blame
obligations.
people. I don't blame
No,
people. It's
I
hard.
read it.
It's hard. There's so many responsibilities. The
Yeah.
economy is just is not that great. I mean, it's not good. I mean, depending on
Right.
where you live. So yeah, I understand, but it's absolutely essential to carve out that time and just to take an audit of your day, how you spending your time, your energy, and how you feeling inside. Because it's it's you have to give yourself that time because you're a human being at the end of the day. You're not a robot. So you have to um yeah, you have to monitor what is going on in your inner world.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it's gonna
Absolutely.
metastasize, and you're gonna burn out, or you're gonna develop some kind of illness, and you don't want it to reach that stage.
Good word. Right. Well, as we're wrapping up today, what have we missed when we're talking about this and your work? And what would you like to share with everyone before we go?
Hmm. I would like people to know that if they're in a state of confusion, if they're in a state of pain, that they don't have to face it alone. I think it's very important for people to know that you're not alone, that you have to realize that we're all having a collective experience, and what you're facing somebody else might be facing, in another part of the world. And I think that can give you a lot of comfort. And don't do it all alone. Reach out to people. Develop, grow your network. Find people who you can talk to. Find your tribe. I think we're getting lonelier and lonelier as a society. Don't do that to yourself. We are social beings, and we need strong, loving, and meaningful connections in order to thrive as people. And I know when I talk about a nomadic journey, it can seem like it's a solitary kind of approach to life where it's all you and you're just out there doing your own thing. It's not. It's at the end of the day, we're living in an ecosystem. We're part of the ecosystem. So we have to both and it's a give and take, right? That's the kind of energy exchange that that would help us thrive as a society. You give back, but you can also ask for help from others.
And there is that beautiful element of the nomadic metaphor that is about connection wherever you go and expansion in so many directions, in so many ways. So thank you for pointing that out in particular. Well, awesome. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that we missed that we need to address before we go?
No.
Okay, good. Well, this is incredible.
I think we covered a lot of ground. You are a great host.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. You made it so easy. I love your work, and I'm just going to wish you continued success. And if someone wants to follow you and learn more or maybe connect with you, it will all be in the show notes, but you could also tell us now.
Yeah. So if you want to know more about my books and if you want to tune into my podcast, you can go to SelineShenoy.com. All the links will be over there. If you want to follow me on Instagram, as Amy pointed out, I'm active. I post a lot of interesting content there and share my musings and my reflections. So yeah, you can follow me at Seline Shenoy on Instagram. And you can read my blog, thedreamcatch.com.
Beautiful. And all that will be in the show notes too. So I highly recommend everyone go check it out and follow and support and all those beautiful things that connect us in so many ways and open us up to new things. So Seline, thank you so much for being here today. So grateful for your time and all your wisdom.
Thank you so much, Amy. I had a wonderful time.
I'm so glad. Beautiful. Let's catch our dreams. Let's get our nomadic soul popping. I love it. Hi, and thank you so much for being here. I'm so very grateful. Of course, follow the show. Follow us on YouTube. All those good things. Let's connect more. I have my new podcast out too that I'm co-hosting, Comedy Wellness. And taking everything we talk about here and putting it out in the real world and how that shakes out in my life, my co-host life, people we know, all that kind of stuff. It's called Anything But Mid, and it is linked in the show notes. And I'm very excited about it. I'm having a blast. And I love my co-host so much, Whitney. So, thank you again for being here. I hope you feel inspired just to keep getting in touch with your values. Mine are always like something I'm able to come back to, just like that Amazon store, right? Like sometimes I get a little like led down a path and you're like, I should be doing this. I should be doing this. Everybody's doing this. Everybody's making money. Everybody's, content creating. Everybody's whatever, right? We can get led down a path of things that we're told, even from our algorithms. And you can take a pause, be like, wait a minute, do I really want to do that? What am I doing if I do that? If I do X? And really just checking in with yourself. Does it align? No, it does not. All right, I don't want to do that, right? And that's so incredibly good because sometimes all the money in the world isn't going to make that any more aligned with your values, right? Unless I guess your value is all the money in the world, but then you need to check yourself, right? Just like Billie Eilish said recently, like, billionaires, what are you even doing? I love that quote from her. Okay. So if you haven't seen it, she said it to like a crowd at an award she was receiving from the Wall Street Journal. And she was like, there's a lot of people with more money than me. What are you even doing? Give it away. And so she's right. Anyway, a beautiful thing. And here's to elevating ourselves and our values all the time. It's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing practice. And the sooner we accept that we're not just checking things off a list, the better. And believe me, from my list checking heart, it is constantly a thing that I'm working on because I love checking things off. I love things being done. And it's probably because I crave a sense of completion and finality in a world where things are never done and never final. So that's why we love movies. That's why we love a happy ending, right? That's not exactly life. So, okay, follow the show, covered all of that, newsletter. My hair is Collective ATX, linked in the show notes. Thank you to our intrepid and amazing podcast editing team, podcast magician. They are also linked in the show notes. Connect with me on Instagram. I want to hear from you. You can reply to my newsletter, everything like that. I love you so much. You're kicking ass just by being here, just by showing up for yourself. What a fucking badass you are. I love you so much. Keep shining bright. Till next time. Thank you so much for being here. Please rate, review, and follow us. And we'd love to hear your feedback. Keep shining bright.